Hi everyone, welcome today. We are going to be learning how to build our hovercraft base. So far I've tried two designs, but this is where I really want to free you up to just try things that you want to try on your hovercraft design. One of the things I've tried, the first one I tried was making it long and skinny like this. So this is like 30 centimeters wide almost, and then almost 600 millimeters long. So it's about twice as long as it is wide. The thrusters were at the back, the downdraft housing was at the front, and this worked pretty well. I was happy with the way the control of it. The next thing I tried though is I tried flipping on its side. So I was like, let's put the thrusters along the wide side to put them farther apart, and then the downdraft is still up front here. One more thing I want to try is what would happen if we put the downdraft fan back in the back and left nothing in front. That could be where the Arduino and the battery goes, is up front. So I think that might be something interesting to try today. Although, do it however you want. You can position things wherever you want and still use the videos to help you figure out how to kind of model everything. So be as creative and as free as you feel you want to be. Okay, that being said, we do need to keep the overall dimensions below 300 millimeters by 600 millimeters, because that's as big as a laser can cut. And I like to keep it a little bit under that. So I like to shoot for like 295 and 595 as my maxes, just in case the plywood's not been cut perfectly. All right, so here's an overview of the design. So this design is made of 4 layers of plywood. There are 3 thick layers on top, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 thin layer of plywood on the bottom. And I'll show you how the thing works. And then these rings up here are clamps for the thrusters. So the thrusters will screw down to this piece right here through these 4 holes. And then this top ring will screw down onto that disc, clamping it in place so that we can adjust the angle of the thrusters and then clamp them down to hold them at that angle. So that'd be kind of a cool thing to be testing to see what helps us in terms of being control and speed of the hovercraft. All right, so from underneath is where the magic happens. So the downdraft fan blows down here, blows air down in here, and there'll be basically a plastic bag covering this whole bottom outside ring here. And that air will fill up that plastic bag, make it puffy, and then the air will pour through all of these holes along through here, and then those holes will empty out through a gap between these two into this space in the bottom, and then that air coming out there is what actually lifts the hovercraft up off the ground. So we'll be designing all these things in these clips, and you'll be 3D printing them. It'll be a cool, fun build. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to open up a new file. And I'm going to close the other 2. Well, I'm going to leave the wide one open, I guess. And then I'm going to create a new sketch on the bottom plane here. And I'm going to sketch the shape of my overall base of the hovercraft. For me, I'm going to do one that's wider than it is long. So I'm going to just grab a rectangle tool real quick and just draw in a rectangle, and making it this side here is going to be 295, just under what it can be. So that's about as big as you want to make it. I'm going to zoom out so I can see it. And then I'm just going to draw this one sideways, kind of looking for proportion. That looks pretty good to me. So for mine, I'm going to do 525. Again, I encourage you to do whatever dimensions you want. Just don't exceed 595 and 295. Okay, so that's just a big rectangle right now. So what I do want to do is create some shape to it. So I'm going to grab a line tool here and kind of drag down this way. And then do something similar over here. I think that looks pretty good. I think I kind of prefer this one more because it's kind of longer. So I'm going to work on this side first. So I'm going to hit D for dimensioning. And I'm going to add a dimension for how far the end of this line is from the corner of this rectangle. So I clicked on the end of the line, clicked on the corner, and now I go up here and click somewhere up here in the white space to place it. And so I'm going to say that's about 80. And hit enter. Give myself a nice round number to work with. That looks pretty nice. I like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this side. I'm going to click on the end of the blue line here, and then the corner of the rectangle here, and then over here on the side somewhere, I'm going to click one more time to place it. And I think I want it a little steeper, so I'm going to go with 170 here. And the same thing, so I'm just gonna match these up over here. So this one to this one, we said was 80 over there, and this one to here, and we said that was gonna be 170. Awesome, that looks pretty good. And here's a trick too, like if I double click on this 170, I can edit it. Instead of changing it and typing a new number, what I can do is just go over here and click on this 170, and it puts a D4 in there, which means this is called dimension 4, this is D4. Whatever this is, it automatically puts it over there. So I'm gonna hit enter on that D4, you can see it says FX 170. Do the same thing on this one, double click on it to edit it. Click on it once over here, and it's gonna put D3 in there, push enter, and those two dimensions. Now if I were to change this to like 120, notice how it changes both of them right away. So I can just kind of play around now with dimension. Oh, actually, I kind of like that. 110. Yeah, so I can play around with things and not have to change as much stuff. I think for me, that's where I'm going to want to be. So I'm going to say finish sketch. Awesome. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually drag this. I'm going to actually extrude this into reality. So I'm going to hit extrude, E for extrude, and then click on this middle part. And I can drag it up, but I don't really know how thick to make it. I need to measure my plywood. So I'm gonna go do that right now, and then we'll extrude it. All right, so I've got 6 pieces of the thicker plywood here, and I'm just squeezing them together, and now I'm just gonna measure the thickness of all 6. I don't like using just one piece, because you might accidentally grab a piece that's a little thinner than other pieces, and then all your measurements are off. So by grabbing 6 of them, it's kind of like taking an average of 6. So I get 32.7 millimeters. So what I want to do is divide that by 6, but I don't need to do that myself. Fusion will do it for me. And I don't want to have to try and remember that number through my whole design of what number the thickness is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit cancel here on the extrude. I'm going to go to the modify menu, and I'm going to come down here to change parameters. And I'm going to add a parameter by pushing the plus here. And the name of the parameter is going to be thickness yep, that'll work. And then my expression is going to be that 32.7. I'm just going to do divided by /6. And it did that math for me, so the value is 5.45. So now I have that number in there as the thickness of my plywood. So I'm going to say OK here. And now when I come back here and go extrude, instead of having to memorize 5.45 all the time, I can just type in TH. It shows me my thickness parameter, push enter, and then enter one more time to actually extrude. That is the general shape of my hovercraft. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to round off these hard edges. So I'm going to grab the fillet tool here, and I'm going to come over here to the corner and highlight these corner edges like this, and then come back to the top, and then just pull it in and kind of see what looks pretty good to me. I think about like that looks good to me, 110. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to do the same thing on these 2 edges as well. So I want to grab this edge. I'm trying to keep everything very symmetrical, meaning the same thing on the left and right side so the hovercraft can fly better. If you make your hovercraft lopsided, it's going to have a harder time sort of flying. I think that looks pretty good. And then the bottom down here. You grab that corner edge, and drag it in. And this one I want to be a number like, ooh, I don't know what number it is. Hang on, let me look. Okay, everybody make this fillet 50, which will give us a diameter of 100 on this side, which will allow us to fit our thruster. So this is the fillet along the edge where the thruster is. So my one thruster is here, the other thruster is here. This needs to be something like 50 radius. So it's 100 millimeters wide, so we have room to have the clamp go down on our thruster housing. So I'm going to click OK there, and that is the first piece of my hovercraft. That's the overall shape of my hovercraft. Awesome. That feels like a really good place to stop for now. So we'll see in the next video. We'll start creating the next layers and work through how to make the thruster housings or the clamps for the thrusters. Awesome.